whip system. I would like to see that change.
Katie, you're nodding in agreement there.
I think Brian's absolutely right to suggest that the two-party system is dead, or should be. What this election night is really telling us, and we can say this confidently before the results have even come in, is we're trying to cram 6 or 7 party politics into a two-party system, and it just doesn't work. And there are going to be millions of voters, whatever the individual or collective results are, who will feel really that their voices haven't been heard. They'll have voted in large numbers for the smaller parties, UKIP, Lib Dems and the Greens, and they won't see their voices heard, and crucially they will not see their votes turned into a fair share of seats in our parliament.
Do you think then, either of you, that this is the election where people will look at the share of the votes and actually say enough is enough? Because there isn't the appetite, obviously, for the two main parties to progress with this.
I certainly hope so, and I think we need a kind of parliament which is hung in the old sense of the word, and I think there's been a lot of scaremongering about that, saying it would be a disaster. It won't be a disaster, it would be great. And I think in that atmosphere we could get a change in the electoral system. And please God we do, because that's what this is about. You know, because as you say so rightly, so many people in this country, but maybe 50% will feel at the end of this election that their view wasn't represented. It's got to change.
We know it works elsewhere, don't we?
In so many countries, most of Europe has fair proportional voting, where people see their choices reflected in their national parliament. And I think Brian's absolutely right to say there's going to be a real impetus for change now. People have changed. They want to express a wider range of preferences than they ever had before. We're seeing the established parties struggle to get sort of 2/3 of the vote. That's a lot of other people who want to support a wider range of parties. And we've also seen, and again, we don't know what the exit poll really means, but we've got a hung parliament. First past the post cannot even produce what it's supposed to do, which is an outright winning government. So I think electoral reform is firmly back on the agenda.
And what warnings for the smaller parties, given what potentially looks like has been an absolutely astonishingly bad night for the Liberal Democrats, the damage of, as you said earlier, about being in a partnership?
I think it's a lesson. Whoever goes into a coalition is going to face that kind of backlash, I think. So I would advise everybody not to, but I think it's in the public interest that they don't. I firmly believe that. I still have my pie charts. This is what happened last time in a typical seat. And these are the people who didn't vote. Why didn't they vote? Not necessarily apathetic, but because of what you said. They perceived that there was no chance for their voice to be heard. Has to change.
Brian May and pie charts in the opinion room. What more do you want? He's on Facebook straight after this, taking your questions. So if you want to join Brian May and ask him questions about badgers, common decency, or indeed Queen, he's on Facebook straight after this. Tom.